It was yet another typical day in Camden Town. Things were just as wild as ever over at 101 Dalmatian Street. Dylan got all the pups' teeth brushed when Dolly prepared to get all the pups fed. "I see you pups have everything under control," said Delilah. "We're up to work now," said Doug. "See you pups soon." After Doug and Delilah left, Dylan and Dolly met up with each other. "We've got this morning routine down pat, sis," said Dylan. "Though the pups are sure gonna have a lot of fun today." "Yeah, but don't say it just yet, bro," said Dolly. "Remember, that is a trigger word." "How could I forget?" It was then they realized they were holding up the line of pups. Destiny, Dallas, and Deja Vu were the next ones in line. All three of their stomachs growled at the exact same time as they gave Dylan the sad puppy face. "Oh, we still gotta finish feeding everybody," Dylan gasped. "How many we still got?" Dolly counted. "We've only got 37 fed so far." "Then we better hustle," said Dylan. Dylan and Dolly quickly got the rest of the pups cleaned and fed as they moved down the assembly line. Destiny, Dallas, and Deja Vu each had their bowls of food placed in front of them. One by one, they picked up a piece of kibble and ate it, but Deja Vu accidentally picked up a clock but caught herself just in time. "I almost ate a clock," she said. "Then you would have been like that crocodile from Peter Pan," said Dallas. As soon as the pups were fed, Dolly and Dylan looked at each other. "Ready, sis?" asked Dylan. "Ready, bro," said Dolly. The boy walked up in front of the door and opened it. Dolly cleared her throat and called out to the pups, "Park!" All the pups heard the word and rushed outside, all yapping, "Park, park, 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 park!" And Dolly and Dylan laughed as they went with all their brothers and sisters to the park. At the park, all the pups played around just like they normally would. Dylan and Dolly enjoyed getting some fresh air. But then, all of a sudden, they encountered two familiar faces. It was Summer and Spike. "Summer?" Dylan gasped. "Oh, my dog! I can't believe it's actually you! How are you doing?" "I'm doing great, Dylan," said Summer. "Still holding the family together?" "As always," answered Dylan. "I'm surprised to see you too, Spike," said Dolly. "Well, Summer and I have been out traveling for a while," said Spike. "We didn't think we'd encounter you here in Camden." "Well, this is where we live," said Dolly. Dylan gasped. "Dolly, you shouldn't tell others where you live." "Oh, relax, bro, it's fine," Dolly assured. It sure is nice to be a rogue dog," said Spike. "Yeah," added Summer. "With no owners, we have the freedom to go wherever we want, whenever we want." "That's good and all," said Dylan, "but it's probably not a good idea for you guys to be here in the city." "Why is that, Dylan?" asked Summer. "Well, in the city, if they see a dog without a collar, they get locked up in the pound," Dylan explained. Spike snorted. "And what are the odds of that happening?" At that moment, a dog catcher came out of nowhere and caught Spike and Summer with his net. They were both shocked and started to panic as the dog catcher took him into his truck. Dylan and Dolly tried to chase after him to save him, but they weren't fast enough. The dog catcher looked them up and drove them up to the pound. And Dylan sighed. "Quite a way to meet an old friend for the first time in forever." "Relax, bro," said Dolly. "I'm sure they'll be fine." "Summer's never been locked away before," said Dylan. "She could be worried sick." "I feel you, bro," said Dolly. "We should go save them." At this point, Dylan called all the pups together for a meeting. "Listen up, everyone," said Dylan. "Spike and Summer were just here, but they've been caught by the dog catcher." "Oh dear," said Da Vinci. "That's awful." "I knew this day would come," shouted Dante. "It's the end of the world." "Dylan and I are going to go rescue them," said Dolly. "We are coming with you," said Dallas. "Yeah," said Destiny. "The more the merrier." "We'll kick their butts," said Deja Vu. "Not this time," said Dolly. "Dylan and I have to do this on our own." The puppies all moaned. "Aww." "Actually, I think we could use Diesel," said Dylan. Diesel popped up from the ground and asked, "Did someone call my name?" "Hey, yeah, Diesel," said Dylan. "We need your sniffer to sniff out the trail of the dog passer." "You got it," said Diesel. "Dawkins, you're in charge of taking the pups home," said Dolly. Dawkins sighed. "Of course I am. My luck being the smartest pup in the family. Come along, pups." The other pups dogpiled onto Dawkins as he tried to lead them back home. "Okay, Diesel," said Dylan. "Sniff out the trail of Spike and Summer, and we'll follow you." Diesel picked up the scent. "Follow me," he shouted as he started digging. Dylan and Dolly followed the trail he left for them to follow. Soon, they got to the dog pound. Here we are, said Diesel. Good boy, Diesel, said Dolly. Now head back home with the others. Diesel nodded and dug his way back to 101 Dalmatian Street. Well, here we are, said Dolly. Now how are we going to get them out of there? Dylan pondered. This place is heavily guarded, and I know Pearl is on duty. No dog can get past her eyes. Hang on, Dylan, said Dolly. I've got an idea. She dashed off quickly and came back faster than you could say, bow wacka wow! She had with her a trench coat and fedora hat. And what do you propose we use that for, Dolly? Asked Dylan, confused. Don't you get it? Asked Dolly. We can use this coat and hat to disguise ourselves as a human. I'll get on your shoulders and put this disguise on, and we'll sneak in and get Spike and Summer out of there. What? Dylan gasped. No way! Absolutely not! Aw, come on, bro, said Dylan. Where's your sense of adventure? I refuse to take part in the scheme you came up with, Dylan said firmly. Remember the last time we tried that, when we tried to fool Constantine and his cats? Dolly then thought back to a flashback of when they did that. In the flashback, Dylan and Dolly were performing a totem pole trench walking up to Constantine's house. 3 cats were standing guard in the front. Hello, my fellow felines, said Dolly in a deep voice. Do I have permission to enter your house? And why should we let you in? Asked one of the cats. Suddenly, Dylan's cat allergy started acting up. This caught Dolly off guard and started to panic. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze, Dolly fibbed. Achoo! Dylan sneezed, which included the coat into a massive balloon, shooting Dolly out of it like a cannon. The coat floated down to the ground, revealing Dylan in front of the cats. Dolly soon after fell back on top of him. Nice try, said the cat. Beat it, you two. That was the end of the flashback. You do bring up a good point there, Dylan, said Dolly. I'm glad you agree to that, said Dylan. That's why I propose we come up with a new plan. And that's just what we're going to do, said Dolly. I'm glad you agree. Wow! Dylan started to say when Dolly started lifting him up on her shoulders. This time, you'll be on top, said Dolly with a wink. Dolly, this isn't what I meant, said Dylan. Come on, Dylan, said Dolly. It'll be fun. She handed the coat and hat up to Dylan. Dylan sighed. Whatever you say, Dolly. Then he put the hat and coat on and buttoned up the coat. All right, let's get this over with. Dolly started walking up to the pound's main entrance. Bow wacka wow! Dolly cheered. Shh! Dolly hushed her up. Oh, sorry, Dolly whispered as she kept on walking. They get inside and walk past the sleeping dog catcher. Dylan looked on the cages as Dolly continued to walk. Soon they found a cage that Summer and Spike were fortunately both together in. Dolly led Dylan up to the cage. Psst! Summer! Spike! Dylan whispered. This caught their attention. They recognized the disguised Dalmatian. Dylan, is that you? Summer asked. Yeah, said Dylan. And Dolly. Dolly poked her head out of the coat and whispered, We're busting you out of here. Thank goodness, Summer said, because I don't like it here. Better get us out of here fast, said Spike. It looks like the fuzz is on your tail. Dylan didn't know what Spike meant at first until he heard a familiar female voice from behind him shout, Hold it right there! Oh, my dog, it's Pearl! Dolly quickly hid back in the coat, and the duo turned around to face Pearl. What business do you have in here? Asked Pearl suspiciously. Dylan started to say, I'm here to pick up these dogs. They're my dogs. These mutts were found in the park with no collars on, said Pearl. By order of law, we have to keep them in here. Summer growled at Pearl after hearing her call her a mutt. How are you so sure these dogs are yours? Well, you see, Dylan said, trying to think of a convincing lie. I was about to give them a bath, but I left my back fence open, and they ran away without their collars. Just then, Dolly started to get antsy. She started moving back and forth with her hind paws. This caught Dylan's attention. He had forgotten that Dolly has a habit of not being able to sit still. Pearl blinked. Are you feeling all right, sir? Yes, said Dylan as he kicked Dolly, signaling her to stop. I'm just a little anxious to get my dogs back because I had a fun activity planned to do with them today. Pearl was a little confused at this, but then she said, Well, if you claim these dogs are yours, I don't want to waste any more of your time. I shall go ahead and have them released for you. Thank you, said Dylan. I would very much appreciate that. At that moment, Dolly started moving around again, this time as if she was dancing. Dylan did his best to cover it up. Hey, come on, get happy, yeah, he said, swinging his arms around. Pearl rolled her eyes and went over and opened the cage, letting Spike and Summer out. Have a good day, sir, said Pearl. Come on, pups, said Dolly. And as Dolly walked back out of the pound, Summer and Spike followed. After they had gone, Pearl was a little confused, wondering how this human was able to talk to her, though she figured he probably had a way with horses. After all, people and horses do share close bonds with each other. Back outside, Dylan and Dolly got out of their disguise. All right, we're out, cheered Dolly. Well, what do you know, sis, said Dylan. Your plan worked after all. I told you it would, Dolly winked. Thank you for getting us out of there, guys, said Summer. Our pleasure. So, what shall we do now? Asked Spike. How's about we go back to our house? Suggested Dolly. I concur. It's probably the safest place in Camden for you guys to be right now. Fortunately, the underground tunnel that Diesel made leading back to the house was still intact. The four pups decided to take the tunnel to get there, which was not only faster, but also safer so as not to be seen in public. They went to the house and spent the rest of the day there together. Spike and Summer sure did have a lot of fun the rest of the day and wondered if they should meet the family more often. Though the question is, what adventures would lie ahead for these two in the future? Only time will tell. The end.